AEW is bloody brilliant. A bit of a lag because I noticed it on my laptop just then. A slight lag issues. Hopefully it doesn't come across on the screen. Yeah, I'm getting all the notifications going, hi CPU, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Let's not panic. It'll be perfectly fine. Anyway, we are here to talk about AEW Dynamite, which once again was absolutely brilliant. Builds up to the Arthur Ashe show next week incredibly well. But I was trying to think, what is the best way to go through this show? And I thought, let's just make a thing of the first segment and just go through in order, because this show was amazing. It was fantastic. Once again, did everything it needed to. But before we get into that, my name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and I am once again joined by James Boyd of One Nation Radio to review a great wrestling show here on YouTube and also available in podcast form. Links in the description, or head over to WrestlingHeadlines.net for all your latest wrestling news. James, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I thought it was a really good show last night. I think I liked last week's better, but I still enjoyed this episode. It made me think of like the first few go-home shows for AEW pay-per-views once we had Dynamite, where it felt like there was like major angle alerts, like to try to hype you into getting to, buy the pay-per-view. And, they given the buy rates for those pay-per-views, they all worked. And it seemed like they're treating this Arthur Ashe show like a really big deal, which is really cool because they loaded that show up for Arthur Ashe week, if you will. And it's going to be fun next week. It really is.
I've just realised what's up. My laptop needs a Windows update, and you all know what that means for a laptop. That means it's all going to shit. It's all going down until I do that bloody update. I'll take the demonetization hit. It's in for a fun one. It did an incredible job building to it.
You just said the S word, and like there were lots of those. Lots of them.
If we're gonna do it on any review, this is the most fitting one. There was so much swearing on this show. I swear, every other segment, someone was calling someone a piece of shit or a shithead or working it into some form of pun. And even the TNT drama account just tweeted out, I was like, "Can we say shit on TNT? Is that a thing? It's just free reign." So many people said it. Yeah. I loved how, because I was obviously being a UK viewer, I'm not watching whilst in the loop, so it's quite nice that I noticed that, and then I went onto Twitter and everybody was talking about it. It's like, yes.
Because normally you save they have Jericho save shit for keep one in the chamber, but it was just unleashed last night.
Just a roulette of them. Just fire, just one after the other, emptying the chamber. Just full god.
It's okay. All right. Okay, that's too. That is too illustrating of a pun to say that the shit has left the chamber. Let's
I was going with your gun thing. This is like bang 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 bang, like a revolver. Anyway, I do agree we probably should move on. Anyway, so this show did an amazing job building to Arthur Ashe next week. You just leave the show feeling so incredibly hyped, and that these two shows next week are the biggest deals in the world, which it doesn't matter if they are or not. The show has then really done its job if you leave feeling like that. Just cannot wait for next week. And there's also Rampage this week as well. And the thing, I guess in terms of building to Arthur Ashe, before we get into the review of the main show, with the build to Arthur Ashe, there are quite a few reveals on this show. There are loads of matches set up, just one after the other. Quite a few I'm actually really interested to see that. Like Sting and Darby versus FTR, which makes loads of sense, and I'm way more interested in it than Tully versus Sting. It's I just assumed it would be like Spears and Tully versus Darby and Sting, but this is so much better. And it's still within the same story, continues to build the same thing, and just does such a better job of going to it. There's a moth right in front of me. But they built to the card so incredibly well. But the other announcement too was that Rampage next week is going to be 2 hours, so we're essentially getting 2 Arthur Ashe shows, where I'm not complaining about that. Both cards look incredibly solid. Maybe the Rampage one with a few more tag matches, but they're all really enticing tag matches, so who cares? And it's AEW. They treat those matches seriously as well. And for me, it's like a great example. You can make a card feel this strong, but you don't have to put titles on the line. And for me, that's just the epitome of making wins and losses matter. Because in WWE, because wins and losses don't really matter, to make the match important, you have to put the title on the line, or something crazy like $500,000 or your career or something, to kind of give the match that massive emphasis, especially on like a shorter build like this for Arthur Ashe. However, in AEW, I think I am specifically talking about shorter builds. But with AEW, because of the wins and losses, because they do matter, you don't have to put titles on the line. Like there's the tag titles aren't on the line. I think the only two that are the women's and the TNT. There's no world title match, no tag team title match, because they don't have to, because the matches they're in still matter. There is no need to do that, and that's just that consistency that gets there, where suddenly this kind of stress is off. You can just continue to build, just give a massive kind of plot point within that build, and it can still feel like a big deal. So yeah, just a massive round of applause for AEW. Just the way this card has fallen together feels massive. And you have not had to give away any major points. Basically, I am talking about Omega and Danielson. The title's not on the line, but it still feels massive. So, well done. Well done. Congratulations there. So, we are going to go through the show straight up.
This all came together and it was cool.
Sorry, go again.
I said, this all came together, for them basically in like a 2-week span. Like, obviously, the tickets were sold, but like as far as building, the building really started from, all out, so it's been really a 2-week build to this, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think the thing I keep thinking about with Arthur Ashe is the women's final is still in everybody's mind. Well, it's still in my mind because it's happened so recently, such a big sporting event as well. And I swear, like, maybe just because I was following all the tennis stuff, but whenever I go on Twitter, there's still new things with Raducanu just on. To learn her name, there's a comedian over here called Vic Reeves, and he would always say words weirdly, like Uvavu, Iranu, just like that. It was a bit silly. It was the 90s. But to learn her name, my brother, because I was struggling to say her name, and my brother was like, just say it like Vic Reeves in Shooting Stars. Like, oh, okay, Raducanu. So I have to. It works. I say her name right, but I do it in a silly voice. It stuck. But she's still massively in the news, doing all the things a new celebrity in America does. But that means Arthur Ashe is also still in people's minds as well. So when AEW are running that event, it feels like, in my head, it's an even bigger deal because of how in the spotlight that venue currently still is after the big event that's happened. So that just adds to it as well. It's a genius idea. Is this their biggest venue yet that they've run? Or was Chicago?
It's gonna. I think Arthur Ashe is a little bit bigger. I don't know what the configuration is exact, but I mean, as far as like their actual, just general bare strip down everything, like for what they're meant for. Like United Center is where the Blackhawks play for hockey and where the Chicago Bulls play for basketball. And I'm just thinking like where the configurations are and their attendances are normally. I don't know what it is once you tarp off a section of the arena for the props and lights and interest ramp and all that kind of stuff. So I think I want to say it's Arthur Ashe, but I could be wrong. But it's kind of close.
Right.
Like it's within it's within like a couple thousand of each other.
And as well, with the kind of final note before we'll go through the show, the ratings as well. AEW again have just won. It's not like they've beaten them, they destroyed Monday Night Raw. It's like, no, they just won with a slither over Monday Night Raw. But this new upstart promotion that's only existed for a short amount of time. This is only their second. They haven't even completed their second year on television. Oh no, I'm doing it. 2019 to 20. Yeah, this is the end of their second year on TV. Yeah. Late night maths, it's not kind to the brain. This is the end of they've not even reached the end of the second year yet, and they're already beating them in that key demo 2 weeks on the trot. Yes, it's close, they're just beating them, but the fact they're doing it so quickly with so much momentum, and there's Arthur Ashe next week, the football's not going anywhere, and suddenly AEW have got this massive show with so much hype behind it. Some people said, "Oh no, Raw's going to get massacred." I won't say that. I won't be that. I won't say something like that.
No.
But I'd be so surprised if it's not 3 weeks on the trot. Just because of how hot one show is compared to the other one, which is really up against it. There was a lot of positivity coming out of Raw. It was still mostly fine, but the main event has got so much positivity with Big E. It's like, again, I reviewed the entire show. Most of it was fine. Like, it wasn't one of those shows that was egregious, or you're not sitting there going, but why though? That's a low bar, but I complimented them. It was like, you did a show which was fine, which for Raw's really good. So well done. And then you watch AEW, and it really hit with the first two entrances. I'm transitioning, this is a natural transition. The first two entrances, CM Punk, absolutely massive pop, pelting it out in glee as he launches himself into the embrace of the fans, just hugging some random fella dressed as Dusty at ringside as well. Just pure happiness just everywhere throughout the arena. Then Adam Cole immediately follows to arguably the biggest pop. I just was not expecting him to get a pop of that level. It's like back-to-back pops, and it hit me all out. It's just like, everybody's over. It's night and day watching these promotions. Like, my main complaint from Raw was that they dedicated just over 30 minutes to the women's tag team title scene, and it was, in terms of what it was you repeat. Like last week, they just had a tag title match. It's championship contenders, which is the same booking method they've used for years, just with their name slapped on it. As in, to become number one contenders, you beat the champions. That's all that match is. And just like pure WWE, it's not consistent. Sometimes you can beat them and it doesn't matter. The main example is Nox and Shotzi beat the champions 3 times. Nothing. Because they didn't actually want to do the match. They needed to fill the card with something. That's what it screams of anyway. My point being that they dedicated then half an hour this week after the tag title match last week. Sorry, with the tag match last week where the champions got defeated. This week, last week I said, it's going to be a singles match. That's just guaranteed. It's going to be at least one singles match between the two people from the teams. And we got that. We got back-to-back singles matches. I'm just sitting here because, like, the most standard of standard booking, and it sucks because the women's tag team titles could be so much more, and we've seen it be more. But since a certain era ended, with certain people holding it, it's just been nothing. And this was just the same standard, predictable in a bad way, because predictable is sometimes good, it's sometimes fine, it's not thing equals bad. But in this occasion, where I can sit here and be like, I don't need to watch any of this. It doesn't really matter. Compare that. And I was just thinking about that when I was watching AEW, and it's just act after act after act is getting amazing reactions. It's just like, no one isn't over on this show. I guess the least over people who are the ones who aren't actually there, because they, like the MMA people with Dan Lambert, they're the least over people on the show. It's because they're not AEW people, they're not on the show, which says so much about how they've got everybody over. Just well done. It's night and day, and I just felt it with this first match. Just 3 entrances, and I just immediately felt it. And yeah, it means so much to a show where you put in that long-term effort. Now we're seeing it. It's not even that long-term. Again, like coming from New Japan with the how many years with the Naito arc? It's just going from there. That this is still short-term for what AEW are going for. Like, Hangman's not got his title match yet. Just wait till he's champion. Wait till the confidence story there. It doesn't even end when he's champion. There's just so much kind of positivity to take from it. But his first match as well was an amazing way to start the show. Like, such a damn strong way to start it, with AEW's like resident veteran and the hot elite rival. The match itself ended with a Panama Sunrise, once reversed, twice destructive. Cole following up with the charging knee for the win. And then it entered in story time. But yeah, what did you make of this opener, James?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. I really like Frankie Kazarian. He's somebody that I think kind of fits me in a mold of somebody that's almost like someone that like wrestles like as if he doesn't wrestle, he will be fired, and then he will have to go back to whatever environment he came from.
Yes.
Like he's one of those people that me and Rich consider a can't go back all-star, right? Like there are a lot of people in sports, for example, that like come from backgrounds that are so rough and tough that like this was their ticket out, and they have to and they're in their sport and they play with so much passion and determination and energy that is like they're it's almost like they're afraid that if, this is all going to be taken away tomorrow. Like, I don't know if you know who this is, but there is a football player named Jerry Rice, who, considered one of the greatest football players of all time, maybe somewhere in the top 5, right?
Yes, the Vice Man.
And
yes.
like, he's the greatest wide receiver of all time. I'm sorry for getting out of turn. You'd be like, yeah, wide receiver, whatever. But basically, he basically had this reputation for, like, his workouts in the off season were so ridiculously hard, and like that was, and he got that from like having to like travel long distance to school back and forth, or whatever. But anyway, like Frank Kazarian, like the way he wrestles, like he always has high energy. He always is technically sound. He always like just puts all into it, regardless of whatever slot he is, whether he's in a tag team, whether he's doing singles matches with guys, and like you look, and he's always been someone for me is like almost like Roderick Strong, where it's like every time he's in the ring, like I just can't wait to watch him. And the pairing of him with Cole, like I knew it was going to be a really good match, and it absolutely was. And like they could have a better match and more time if they wanted to, but like that wasn't the point. The point was like put Adam Cole in there with an established guy that people respect in the ring and knows he can work his ass off, and have them go get it done and put him over. And I thought it was a really good job, and it gave he looked impressive. Like, it's really hard to, in WWE on the main roster, it's really hard to put somebody in there with somebody that the crowd respects, and then, like, have them have a semi-competitive match where the other guy goes over, and where it comes off where, like, the guy that he just beat is good, but, like, look how impressive that guy is. And they've done it sometimes, but, like, at times you're kind of thinking, like, well, maybe they should, kind of turn it more into one side as opposed to a back and forth. And this was a true... this was mostly like a 60-40 match as far as one person having control of the match, and Adam Cole just trying to be the better wrestler, and it's going to be fun to see what he does going forward, especially now that it looks like we're about to go towards Jurassic Express versus the Super Click. I think that's going to be a blast of a match.
Yeah, and one thing I'm not sure is going to stay over is every promo starting with "Who's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby?"
This was third one. You want to see how long that lasts? You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, he said it at the start of every one of his promos so far, and I get he might be excited. His little thing of we're a bit looser here. I've got this cool thing I can say. Got to pop the first time. So let's keep saying it. So, yeah, probably don't need to start every single one with it. The crowd respond positively every time, but yeah, I did notice it this time. It's like this is the third time I've done it.
Maybe he's a genius and he's trying to shed like the cool heel roll, and it's like over time that will start being chalks on a nail board on chalk. I'm sorry, nails on the chalkboard to people. Like after like the 15th time, like, okay, we fucking get it. So we'll see how that goes.
And that's the point. Keep doing it, and he knows it's worked when someone goes no. It's just whenever it happens. He challenges Christian, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus to a match with the Super Click, which will take place on the Rampage edition of the Wrestle Grand Slam next week. Yeah, that should be a blast. I mean, looking at that Rampage, the Rampage one just looks like match after match. That should be an absolute blast. It's just absolutely solid, and the Dynamite one just looks like a huge card. It's yeah. We'll get to each segment eventually. Just wildly hard. One of those as well. Lucha Bros got their little VTR against their opponents, the Butcher and the Blade, who have racked up little wins on Dark Sky again to this point, where they've got that win-loss record, and their main event. And it's a genius idea where Butcher and Blade, before Lucha Bros became champions, started racking up a couple of wins, and now Lucha Bros are champion. They're the next in line. It's like, oh, yeah. Surprisingly enough, when we say long-term booking, and that you can just put little things and little hints in the kind of earlier on, because you know you're going to a certain point. But if you know Lucha Bros are losing at All Out, you can already start to set up the next thing. And that's, yeah. Yeah, perfect. And these are the guys that formerly in a stable together, and 100% a team Lucha Bros should be beating. So it's and will be beating. So it's a really good first opponent to kind of get that reign established, but it doesn't feel like it's a match with nothing. So just, yeah, huge applause to the way they've set this up, just so naturally, because they've already put in the work, because they knew something that was going to happen. It's It sounds simple, and with most TV it is. It's just in wrestling specifically, the one company on top doesn't do it. So yeah, it's a really good first match. We also got Sammy Guevara and Fuego del Sol, and when you hear Fuego del Sol, James, what's the first thing you think about?
When I hear him talking?
Just when you hear his name. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Yes, it is his car. You're right. You think Del Sol, you think car. He's the guy with the car, isn't it? That's who it is. That's very good, Del Sol. After getting his new AEW contract, he bought a new car. And it's like, oh, Del Sol in that car. It's all I think about.
I saw the car and I was like, angle alert. And then, sure enough, like, me and a few of my friends and in our Largo Loop thread, like we immediately start coming up with like Honda in like the in the Street Fighter bonus section of the game where they're beating up a car, with special moves and punches and kicks in a certain amount of time to get XP. And I'm just like, yep, that's what's gonna happen. Like Miro's gonna beat the hell out of that Honda after he destroys Fuego del Sol, and maybe that leads towards Sammy Guevara. Because it's all been interconnected ever since the first Rampage. So we'll see. But regardless of whatever happens, I need Miro to win. I need Miro to fuck up that car. I just need to see it. Yeah. I just need to see him rip the car doors off and throw him around like he's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, it is. It feels like because Sammy was there, it felt such a natural transition from this into a much bigger match in Miro Sammy Guevara. And again, this is where predictability is good. This is absolutely perfect because you've set it up. It's not really predictability, it's foreshadowing. You're telling the audience you're going to do it without blatantly saying it so they expect it, and it kind of gets there in a much more natural way. He's going to destroy that car and it's going to be beautiful. I wasn't going to say the next thing in my head. And then he and Lana will destroy the car in a different way. To celebrate, that car will be destroyed. I PG'd what I had in my head. Anyway, later in the show as well, Miro just in response to it was just like, I mean, if you want to, I don't know why you would, but if you want to get destroyed by the Redeemer, then I'm not going to turn you away. And that as well set for the Rampage edition next week. Yeah, all hot for it. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Miro's been a brilliant champion, and this feels like such a natural progression to get Sammy Guevara to a title position. It's all well done. So well done. Do you have Guevara beat Miro?
I don't know what's next for Guevara if he's not TNT champion. But for me, given how well Miro has done, like if he's not the TNT champion, I could see him going in a bunch of different directions with a bunch of people because I think he is probably the third or fourth, or really right now at this point, the number 4 heel in AEW. So, him and Bryan Danielson, him and, for example, like, let's say Jungle Boy or Luchasaurus, or like, there's a bunch of places for him to go. So I think that, hell, even CM Punk after he's done with Team Taz, I think there's a bunch of places for him to go for some of the, the abundance of babyfaces we have in the singles division, the men's singles division AEW. So I think this kind of frees him up because I think the people that he can feud with in the future are more people that's kind of above him in weight class. So you kind of need to get the TNT title away from that because I think obviously Tony Khan has said a lot about he doesn't want it to be to feel like a mid-card title. And while I think with Cody and Darby you could say it did not feel like a mid-card title, for me personally, I feel like the role that Miro has given, if this thing existed that his run he's been on without the title didn't exist, you would say like he's one of the best mid-carders in professional wrestling, in American professional wrestling right now. So I think that you kind of get him away from that and you can kind of move him up and you can let him loose. I really enjoy I really enjoy what they have right now with the number of like baby faces you believe in like the number of like heels that are like just around that are also like you want to see the plug and play that's at play with like all these toys on the for Tony Khan to play with. So I feel like he's had a great run and he can move on from there. because a lot of people thought that there was going to be a rematch after the low blow at All Out to go to Kingston, but Kingston ended up finding this tag match with Suzuki Gun, and that's even better in my opinion. So Sammy Guevara, people love him. They love him giving up for Jericho to keep from getting thrown off the cliff, and then him getting put back, but or him actually getting the win at the Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. So people were behind him, and then the proposal with his fiance a few weeks ago. I feel like it's upward trajectory for him, and this would be the right place to put it, because him doing open challenges with people like Dante Martin or whatever else, sign me up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like the babyface version of Miro, it's just yes, would work so incredibly well. Yeah, can't wait. In terms of the reign of a champion, obviously Guevara and Miro, very different, which makes their match even. It just feels. It's tasty matchup. MJF then came out to a raucous ovation as always, and just a back and forth and commentary that really made me laugh, where MJF was saying that I'm in the armpit of America, New Jersey. JR just going, isn't he from New Jersey? And then Excalibur's response that he's from Rhode Island. It's like New Jersey, but worse. It just really made me laugh. As Excalibur, Bret's Hart himself, where he's now a babyface everywhere except Rhode Island. They hate, he just hates Rhode Island. He can't take it. Oh, that does really made me laugh. MJF himself getting shut the fuck up chants just after 2 lines. He just really riled them up. And apparently they didn't give cupped drinks at the show. They were afraid of doing that because they were afraid they would get chucked at one of the acts. I'm guessing, just as a guess, that it might have been this one. They were afraid stuff would be chucked at there. I'm assuming that's higher because of the pandemic. As in, just chucking things is obviously a bit different. Later in the show, that obviously there were things involved with different ass brawling through the crowd. In terms of throwing a drink and stuff, but you then had 2 different brawlers through the crowds in the show. So it's good to see some safety, but it didn't matter later, so he did it anyway. So those segments were still hot. It still made amazing television. It's just yeah. Anyway, he's come out to talk to Brian Pillman directly, knowingly going for that Eddie's in Hell heat, just to asshole chants just so loud from everybody as he looks down to talk to Pillman's spirit, just taking the absolute piss, all building to Pillman Jr. running out again and attacking him, pleading with him to stop his son for stepping up to him next week for his own damn good. Just the classic wrestling thing of, do you stop him from competing at Wrestle Grand Slam next week live from Arthur Ashe? Just all of them, don't forget to plug it all that stuff. Music hits for Pillman, who instead slid into the ring from ringside to swing at the lads for a nice pop and lead in for his sit-down interview with JR, which then was just Pillman all heated up for next week. I think I've liked him the 2 times he's now spoken in this little bit with MJF, last week and this week here. Here, the lines that I kind of took from it were him saying that he's all clean. I mean, look, all cleaned up. But where he's come from, what he's been through to get here was feral. He lets his father. It feels like he let his father down last week. But at Wrestle Grand Slam, he's going to beat MJF for the family name, damn it. And they're just babyface fire promo in the end. But what did you make of this with MJF and Pillman's running?
Yeah, MJF getting local heat has been really fun the past 2 weeks. For me, I pulled the brakes on it, or said I want to be off this trip once he started doing the Pillman is in hell thing, because it's I never liked those kind of promos. When the one that I famously remember is the Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Eddie is dead, or Eddie's in hell. I've never liked those. There's always been ones where he's all right, bro, you were killing the crowd, and this one this one's where I was it pulled me out of it, because it's this is fake fighting, bro. I don't people stuff like that. People people get hurt saying stuff like that to people that they don't like in real life. See what I'm saying? So for me, it's all right, that's beyond the pale. So whatever. I don't think that. I don't think that Brian Pillman is going to then lose his match. If this were real, right? I don't think that Brian Pillman will lose his match and that'll be the end of the feud. Like if I was Brian Pillman, like someone have to be in the dirt. So like for me, that's why I kind of like it checks me out as like this like come on man, like this is whatever. But like as far as I'm getting heat with New Jersey and shitting on them, I loved it. New Jersey is home to some of like in that whole tri-state area / Eastern Philadelphia is like some of the worst sports fans you'll ever come across. Like yeah, so for me it's like cool, like shit on them, fine by me. So but you know, as far as the match at Arthur Ashe, I think that like this is a real big opportunity for Pillman to kind of, you know, get himself like on Dynamite more, and also including the Varsity Blondes as well. But we all know that like this is meant to get MJF his heat back after losing to Jericho at All Out, and that's perfectly fine. So he's a top of the line, top of the card heel, and he's really protected very well. Like so, this is and all of this has been to get his heat back, and I think he's done a really good job with it, aside from me just of GP not liking the death stuff.
So yeah, and for me, I really like how this feud has kind of come about purely because it really has felt like MJF lashing out in response to losing to Jericho. Like all of this has come like when he was going far last week. I didn't go that right. He's going too far. For me, that was this. Like a character beat, this is him in response lashing out to losing. Like he's pissed about losing, and this is how MJF expresses that. He goes too far because he's angry, because he's pissed. In like the crowd also is picking up on that. That's why they get the "you tapped out" stuff, and then you know tell him to shut the hell up or shut the fuck up, like because they realize that like he is emotionally small, which is a great character point for a heel, where he's just like you're just small and petty, and that's one of the reasons why I like Adam Cole so much. Like, cause when Adam Cole loses, he would lash out in NXT, like when he was like abusing, not abusing, but he was like shutting down Roderick Strong at like the night after or the show after he had lost at NXT Takeover New York to Gargano after he did all the the run-ins at towards the end, and he still lost, and it was like he lost because he got pinned, and like he had to blame Roderick. Like it's the same thing. Like that's the reason why like last week he blamed Wardlow. Like there's nobody else. Like it's coping mechanism, and I just love it. Like his brain and his ego is scrambling, and this is how it manifests. And it's been fun watching him like go off the deep end and tearing the crowds. Perfect stuff. And this is in fact he has consequences to lashing out, and it's brought out Pillman. And we'll see what happens at Arthur Ashe. They've done a great job to kind of build this up. And once again, I lead it into my showcase of Rich Latter bringing it up again on Twitter. Just but what do they do once the pops stop? It's because it's such a silly statement. You can bring it up just over and over. And another great. This feud is a perfect example. So like, what are they going to do? This. If you watch the show, it's not that big a deal. You can fit pretty easy to spot. Pretty easy. Moving on as well to highlighting another young star. AEW have fallen in love with Dante Martin. Man, they are showcasing him, having the commentators go crazy for every little thing that he does. I cannot wait for his partner to come back and for Top Flight to become like one of the top teams on the show. Fingers crossed, hopefully. But here he was teaming with Matt Sydal to face FTR and Tully as FTR get built. And we didn't know this at the point, but FTR getting built for Arthur Ashe. And yeah, for me, these are the perfect kinds of opponents for FTR. Pulling off incredibly impressive flippy flips as Cash and Dax, just right in front of Cash and Dax's face, is like, how disrespectful to the name of professional wrestling. I said this last week, but Martin can jump. Jesus Christ. Still, again, possibly even higher than last week. It's mental. Dante, a running inferno as FTR struggled to keep the Athletic Man down. Eventually cutting Sydal down was the key to the puzzle as FTR lifted Martin up into the big rig. And FTR continuing to rack up wins. And at the time I was like, oh, this is surely to build them up for the Lucha Bros. Like, even though you've got different teams, you've got Santana and Ortiz, feels like the big tag match to build to now with those two teams. However, you got teams like FTR as well, because now Lucha Bros can face all the heels. You've done Young Bucks defending against face teams. You can now have all the heels get a go. It's like, oh, Yes, it feels so refreshing. It's so good. Yeah, the tag team division has so many hot potential matches. I can't wait for what's next around the corner because they're building to it so incredibly well. But yes, FTR getting this win here. What do you make of this little build, I guess, for FTR and showcase for Dante?
I like the pairing of Dante with the with the Seidels, like Mike and Matt. It's not like a crutch, but like when they bring it out, like I like the idea of like they get along because they're baby faces, and there's two sets of brothers. So and one's vets and one's are young guys, and they're trying to bring in the young guys. And with Darius out, like, and it's been a highlight. It's been a showcase, as you said, for Dante, and like him and Matt, like they go together very well, and also is also a good explanation for why they could lose to a team, even though they're both sensational wrestlers. They can lose to a team that's been together, been up multiple promotions and everything, and the team that's been pretty well protected, like FTR, for them to eventually beat them. He's like, because when the rubber meets the road, like the bond just isn't there. Like they've tagged it for a few times, but they haven't been tagging for years, right? So it was a good explanation for storyline wise for why like the veteran team beat the guys that have a bond but not that kind of bond. So like keep putting Dante Martin on TV for me. Like I enjoy watching him. I enjoy watching his hot tags. I enjoy watching him go nuts and come up with stuff like the thing with Powerhouse Hobbs last weekend. Over time, like people are already behind him, but like I talked about this last week, but like it's gonna be a different version of like the Darby thing, where like this person is going out here putting on a show, and this person is getting killed in these matches a different way of getting killed. He's not actually like taking weeks off his life, like, or off his career like Darby does, but like doing some of the things he does before he gets beat. Like people are going to like get attached for that dude, and like I can't wait to Darius is back, and like them as a team, like they're future tag champs.
Yes, and yes, K Black Demon, we also love the tag division. He's saying that the storyline matchups are endless. Oh yes, they've set up so much.
Yeah,
Just
wait till the trios gets unlocked.
Oh yes, I think we talked about this last week. It's just that,
yes, we did.
Just that thing of they've got so many trios matches set up, and just how hot fire those matches will be, and even just a nice little thing of the Super Click. Just there's your trios team. Don't even need to just have any more. It's perfect. So many trios.
Like they have like the Elite now have like two top level trios teams inside their faction. Like they got Super Click and they got the Elite. Like I would like to see them do a Nick Jackson Omega Cole team, just to see how that works. As far as like some super team, like let's say if they're wrestling like Death Triangle, I would love to see that.
Oh damn! It just immediately just hits you like, oh yeah, this would be a hot fire division. Just perfect for television as well. Just the way that the way that it would work. Just important, but not that high up scale. But you get really exciting matches from it. So thumbs up. Built for Rampage as well. Just that tease a really exciting match. Before I move on, there's one note from this show that I haven't actually brought up yet. CM Punk and commentary. What did you make of CM Punk and commentary for the night, or most of the night?
I mean, it's almost as if he never left wrestling for 7 years, and like he's still as good a commentator as he was when he was in WWE. Like there are certain people like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, The Miz as well. John Cena's hit or miss at times. Depends on like if it was in his prime, John Cena or not. But like those are people that I think of like immediately when I think of like professional wrestler doing guest commentary, and like those are people like that are very damn good at it. And like it's almost like he never left, and he's still as good as he was 7, 8, 9 years ago on guest commentary. But he was there for most of the night, and I thought he was damn good. Like if it ever comes a time where he's done, he should be doing this. I think Jericho can be very can be fun in spurts. Like I think he's better as a person that's there for 1 week as opposed to someone that's there every week, because he can be kind of grating at times. But like Punk can just fit into it naturally and be a real commentator. Like he's almost like a Taz, where he just comes in, it's him, but like he adds to everybody else's story and fills in points and whatever else. Like I think he's great at it.
And one little note that I really liked is because, of course, with guest commentators and stuff, I'm still adjusting from the world of WWE, where if a guest commentator comes in, they're not going to sound any different because it's still getting shouted down your ear what they've got to say. They're still going, oh, like when Renee got quite a lot of heat for her time on commentary, I was just like, but why though? Because she's just saying what she's told. I don't quite get the hate for it.
Yeah,
so it's not really her fault.
I've always felt that Renee was miscast originally. Like, I thought that when she was on NXT, when she was doing play-by-play, I thought that she could have. I thought she was going to be like the person that supplants Cole. And then they brought her up, but they brought her up to do basically the babyface color commentary against Graves, who, you know, even though Graves can because of the company stink, when he was in NXT, he was a really good heel color announcer. So like, he has that experience advantage of being in that role, and like, you know, she wasn't built for that particular role in commentary. And then you throw in like the time when they were going towards the end of Ambrose's contract, his tenure, and they were like, okay, like that is your husband, why he's getting his ass whooped, you know, or getting embarrassed almost every single week. Like, I thought that part stunk. So yeah, I think it's important, like, you know, if you're going to have a commentary team, know what people's roles are, and then like make sure they have some type of chemistry. I think it's the main thing, and I think that people like Taz and people like CM Punk, like, they can just fit in with pretty much anybody. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, Excalibur is very accommodating, and like Tony Schiavone seems like he's having a blast every time he's watching AEW. But like, finding a role with like 4 people is hard. It just is, and like, I thought Punk did a great job with 4 people.
Yeah, his thing was, I'm a wrestler and I'm gonna do commentary, but I'm also gonna scout the talent and see who I want to face. Yeah, he wasn't just there reacting to the stuff as any other person would. No, he gave a reason to exist on that commentary table, served his purpose, and then got slammed through it. So yeah, really strong stuff. Also, one little note is when CM Punk was on the All Sessions with Renee the first time, and they did talk about the commentary stuff. Because, of course, Punk, when he got injured, he did commentary for a bit. And apparently, I think it was when Punk had gone to Raw, because he was commentating with Jerry Lawler, he was saying... Because this shocked Renee into annoyance, in a way, because she would have loved to know it. But Punk, apparently, Vince was shouting down his ear, just like he does with everybody. Just shouting down his ear. And then, apparently, during a break something, Punk just nudged Lawler and went, "Where's the mute button?" And Lawler just ported to it, and he just turned Vince off.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. I did not know that. I didn't know. I mean, we all know that, like, about, like, you know, probably 10 to 20 times during one of these Raws or SmackDowns, like, Cole and whoever else at Comedy Proof is getting motherfucked. So I did not know that they were able to like turn it off. I figured that, like, by a certain amount of time, and Vince will realize you're not listening to, or this person's not listening to me, go get him to a commercial break and tell him to turn, my instructions back up.
Yeah, apparently it must have been a shorter recording or something, because he just left it off. And Renee's face was like, I didn't even know you could do that. That's insane. Wow, that would have helped so much.
Yeah, it probably would have. It probably would have.
She said at one point, Vince was going at her so much, and she's like, acknowledge, do you hear me, hear me? Apparently, she was just staring into the camera going, like, I hear you. I hear you.
Wow.
Like, I've heard it's bad. But yeah, obviously this is a much looser version, and you can sense the enjoyment amongst the commentators. It's nice to see, But for this bit, Punk gave his serious voice. Oh, and yes, from comments, Samoa Joe is on the list of great commentators. I'd like to see him in a...
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I would say that yeah, absolutely. He is absolutely great. I don't know if it really overlaps, because like he was mostly known like as a commentator after he stopped, but like I think Wade Barrett and Nigel McGuinness would count or may count, but like those would be two people I would also give shout outs to as well, for like, former wrestlers or wrestlers that do commentary. I think they're both really good heel announcers.
Yeah, if you can make WWE shtick sound good, then you're bloody amazing. It's just already...
Like the real trick for WWE commentary is like notice the shows that Vince is producing for the commentaries, and notice shows that like he's not, that Michael Cole is actually doing. Like the stuff that Michael Cole touches, that in work that Michael Cole has done when he's away from Vince, is so much better than the stuff Vince is with him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like with the NXT UK shows when they first started those, like you're just like, oh wow, like Cole really is good. Even if he did introduce the show in my favourite nerdy way of going, greetings grapple fans. Like, even though he did that, he was still fantastic for those shows. You realise how talented that man is. It's like, no, seriously, he is good. It's not his fault. There's a commentary stranglehold from the boss in Gorilla. So,
and that's the crazy part is like Vince, when Vince was doing commentary, I liked Vince. Obviously, I didn't have much of a reference for it because I was really only like Shivani and him as play-by-play people for wrestling that I knew at the time because I was young. But like I liked his enthusiasm, and like obviously people killed him for not knowing the moves, but he was like, "What a maneuver" or whatever else. And 1, 2, no. But like I enjoyed him as a commentator. But like once he's such an over manager that like when he's telling people what to do, then it becomes a conflict because like then people get in their heads and are afraid to get gun shy almost. So like I think the main thing is like Michael Cole is actually pretty good at this when like he's not getting killed by Vince.
So no, the one thing from that era for me is unbelievable. Just shout out to the edit from OSW where they did the unbelievable song that you're unbelievable and did just edit after edit of Vince going unbelievable. It's so good. But yeah, so CM Punk here though on commentary, he gave his serious voice because he has to talk about something really serious that has happened. He's got to talk about the Suzuki incident. It's like it's so serious. Just leading into a promo from Archer and Suzuki, hyping up the Suzuki Gun reuniting for next week in New York. And this is when it hit me that because they're leaning into the silly Twitter thing of the Suzuki incident, making it canon. This is how to treat a fan base. It's just a perfect example of how to do it. The two will face Mox and Kingston, and Suzuki's music will play, damn it. And this is when it dawned on me. It's like, have they just guaranteed an even bigger pop for Kaze ni New York? It's going to be amazing. Like, talk about turning things round into a positive. Also, really proud of my pun of Kaze ni New York. I was smiling so much when I wrote that. I was like, well done, Imp. Yes, become New York. It makes sense. But yeah, still. Or is Kaze wind? Oh, I think that is. Oh, yeah. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Leave it. It's not as good as I thought. Still, turn it into an absolute positive. We'll see it later in the show as well. Just amazing stuff with this. Yeah, making the Suzuki incident canon and giving us a Suzuki Gun reuniting. It's just like, oh yeah. So, as James said earlier, this is so much better than what we thought they were going to do. It's so much better. And so this is the bit where, as a English viewer who just forgot certain things, I was watching this show. Malachi Black comes out with a cloak on his head like a smart businessman Jedi. It's just all Sith because he's wearing black. And he cuts his evil Dutch promo. He'll be facing Cody next week. So this is all building to that. And then he calls out, and the camera pans to her, and I'm like, wait, is that Rosario Dawson?
Right.
Just completely forgot that she's on the show with Cody, the Go Big show. And I was just there, the entire segment was like, why is Rosario Dawson there? why is famed actress Rosario Dawson at ringside? But yeah, to promote the show. That,
and also, I kind of know this, like she's from New Jersey, I think, or she lives there, resides there. Right. Yeah, like so a congressman named Cory Booker that's in that area. She used to date him. Yeah. Right. So she's a tri-stater. So like for her be there, I can see that. Like, you know, if she wasn't gonna be there, then it probably would have been Jay and Silent Bob, probably Kevin Smith. So like it was just a natural tie-in, obviously with the synergy of Turner. So like it worked. I was kind of upset that she was on Team Cody Rhodes. I had forgotten about the show, but like I was kind of upset because like when when Malachi said that, like, who here is of the House of Black, please rise. Like, I stood up in my house. I was like, I'm with it. I'm on board. I've loved everything he's done. So, I enjoyed the brawl to the back. It kind of keeps with what this build and the heat was for them, was just like them like running up on each other. So, I thought it was kind of goofy that he came from like the Shield entrance, even though he's the EVP, should be in the back, but whatever. They brawled to the back and like, get ready for Arthur Ashe, and like I'm going to enjoy them having a feature-length match. I've liked Cody in this role, like in the way he wrestled in that 4-minute match, even though he lost and it was a very one-sided. But like, if that is what he's going to bring to the table, as opposed to like the super theatrics that he brings that can be exhausting at times, sign me up. I think he's better. Like I think he's better like when he's more in that role or wrestling like a non-top match. Like I like this TNT title run, for example.
That's a shout actually. Yeah, and it's just my immediate action is just, what a unique segment pairing. It's just, when Malachi Black came to AEW, I was not expecting a segment where Rosario Dawson jumps on his back and tries to choke him. It's just, what are you? And for me, again, this is we've seen it twice now. The difference in, I guess, product integration, like a businessman's dream, like we saw with WWE at SummerSlam, where the product integration with the big water truck for Miz and Morrison, and they have a whole separate segment where they're having a water fight with Xavier Woods, and that difference where it's a whole separate thing that, yes, it's integrated into the show, but it's not natural at all. It's just so forced into its own individual thing. And, for example, my full expectation is in WWE, they just have Rosario at ringside and go, that's Rosario Dawson. She's on the show with somebody, an hour show. Go watch it here. Just do a plug or something like that. Just she's at ringside. Isn't that cool? Celebrity at ringside. Celebrities like wrestling too. Trust us, we're cool. Don't be embarrassed to be watching wrestling. However, here, it's second time in a row, because the other one was Space Jam. I love that integration with the Elite coming out in the squad of it. I thought that was brilliant, especially as Space Jam was one of my favourite films as a kid. Like, didn't watch basketball, didn't know anything about it, but I thought Michael Jordan was cool because he was in Space Jam. That meant a lot to me as a kid.
Well, I mean, it worked because like it was a commercial for those Jordans. Like that's
worked.
That's mostly what it was.
Yeah, Space Jam and the first Star Wars, where they just sold loads of toys off of it. And just a little bit different products. I was the perfect age for that. I bought everything. Just that kid in the... I don't know if you had... Do you have Toys R Us in America?
They filed for bankruptcy a couple years ago here.
Yeah,
we did. We did have it anyway, past tense.
Yeah, so my parents would take me around Toys R Us, and it would be like the Space Jam or the Star Wars toys that I really wanted. It's just, can I have this, Mum? Can I have this? I'm like, no, you've already had one. It's fine. But anyway, in this segment, Malachi Black calls out Rosario Dawson, and you see as he's walking towards her, I thought the shot was great, where he's staring down Rosario, and you see Cody in the background, and he's wearing such a bright red suit that you know it's him. He's just like, here comes America, storming down the stairs. And he just charges at Malachi Black, and it leads into a big old brawl and everything, and even Malachi taking somebody's drink and just smashing it overhead. That, again, what I was saying earlier is that they were scared about the cups being thrown at MJF earlier. No, just include it in the brawl. It's fine. I guess just smashing drinks overhead during the pandemic, it's okay. Into a full old brawl. It was just the Rosario Dawson inclusion just caught me so off guard. I'm just like, I don't know what this segment is, but I love it. It's brilliant. It's great. As you were saying, hyping up for the match next week, Black versus Rhodes, in yet another hot match for next Wednesday. Can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Good stuff here. After this, we got the Dark Order. They're still falling out a little bit. Anna Jay is in a, I can't be doing with this now. If you're going to be falling out like that, then none of you come out of me for my match. just leave. I was like, yeah. As I said last week, kind of like the default adult of the group. It's just like, come on, guys, get a grip. I don't know what this is going to result in. I don't know if is going to be a guy coming in or somebody coming back that's going to kind of help reunite them, or if they will realise the errors of their ways, which feels more Dark Order arc. Over time, they'll slowly realise the errors of their ways and become the best friends in the world. Just over time, they'll reunite. It feels like a Dark Order arc of sorts. It's all about friendship and realising your self-worth and confidence and all about that. So yeah, they can do another one. So, in the chat as well, Lionel's Playworld was his Toys R Us. Just showing his age. He's like, I have absolutely no idea what Lionel's Playworld is. No idea.
Neither do I.
Some James as well. I was about to Google it, then remember where my entire setup doesn't keyboard nice to. So I'll just leave it. So, then we got Dan Lambert. I love Dan Lambert. I think his promos are fantastic. He knows the perfect words to say to rile up specifically the AEW fan base. Yes, so good. Yeah, everything he says is pitch perfect. Out there again with Paige and Sky and MMA people I don't know, but I'm assuming they're MMA somebodies. I think I slightly recognise some of them. Didn't know it's because if they were MMA somebodies or because they've been on this show before. But yeah, I don't do MMA, so I have no idea. Lambert's promos are so damn good. And this brought out Jericho, which I was just like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't put this together before. Of course it makes sense to be Hager stepping out to face the MMA guys. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I put this together? It makes so much sense. And yeah, with Jericho's music hit and Lambert's just shouting over it, just turn this shit off. They don't even know the words to this shit song. Looking it up on their phones. It's not that good. It's the song is shit. Which leads into the whole crowd belting out his theme. Again, he is so good. It's perfect, he does it. Again, makes all the sense in the world for Hager to be the man joining Jericho for this. And a tag match is set for next week for New York. Jericho name-dropping scuffles he's had with MMA lads just to be like, yeah, I'm a tough man too. Yeah, I face big people. Yeah, I'll be all right. My Jericho accent needs some work, but still, it's a really natural matchup which I just didn't see. The pairing makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Okay, so I am a casual UFC fighter. I'm not a UFC fighter. A casual UFC viewer. The people that were there that I knew were Junior Dos Santos and Andre Arlovsky, and I think they've been around multiple times. And then another person that's kind of familiar is Paige Van Zandt. Paige Van Zandt is like a person that ends up on a lot of the UFCs and our pay-per-views, ends up on a lot of TVs, and she draws pretty good numbers. But yeah, like I think it's cool. And you mentioned Hager. We haven't seen him in weeks, so it's cool that they're going to have that match. And Dan Lambert, I love Dan Lambert. For me, he's one of my favorite promos this year in professional wrestling. He comes out, he riles up the crowd. He says he's basically like this. He's basically the stand-in for Cornette. In this whole thing when Jericho comes out and then he plays them to get and then Lambert smartly plays them to say that line about you idiots don't even know the words. Cut his music off, and then they start singing. It's like he is Pavlovian almost. Not Pavlovian. That's not the word, but he basically he got the crowd to do what he wanted to do by doing that, and he's just damn good, and this was what Cornette could be doing right now. He could be doing this, but instead they got Dan Lambert instead. When Jericho came out, I was like, wow, this basically is Jericho versus faux Cornette, and what that would have been had Cornette kept coming up with hating AEW for so long that eventually he's kind of softened his stance on AEW over in the last 2 months. I think a lot of it had to do with Bobby Eaton thing. The tribute to Bobby Eaton, but still this is kind of we can't really use Cornette because too many people in our roster just would not go for it. But we'll get somebody that would have the same talking points, and he's in there with real people, and it helps that he is a part of one of the top MMA fight camps, and he cuts promos like a damn as good as anybody, and he comes in is almost he comes in, he's another luxury, to have all these great promos and have another guy come in and some, more or less functioning as a manager, like it's gonna be fun. Like I think Ethan Page is a good promo on his own, but like it doesn't hurt to have more, right? Like, what's cooler than CM Punk as a heel? CM Punk with Paul Heyman. What's cooler than Ric Flair as a heel? Ric Flair with Bobby Heenan. So yeah, I think I really enjoyed it. And Jericho, like, he keeps finding more and more ways to get people to sing his song that people think like isn't over with the people really, and it's like he keeps finding new ways. Like he is a worker's worker, if you will. But Jericho versus Jericho and Hager versus Men of the Year. I'm interested to see how that match goes, because it could just be a fine match, but like if anything more than just being a fine match, it could be interesting. It would be overachievement, because like I don't really think that Jericho and Hager as a tag team, for me, I don't think it's really ever like worked that well. But maybe they find something here. There's a bunch of people will be around ringside. I'm sure it'll play into some type of interference, whatever else. But if this is a way to get some of those MMA guys from American Top Team into AEW, like have them versus Inner Circle, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Again, there's just possibilities. We just look at it. There's so many possibilities out there as well. But do you know where the biggest possibilities come from? Because up next, we had a Gun Club promo. So Jade Cargill versus Leyla Hirsch was the next matchup. I'm just going to ignore it. It's fine. Perfectly fine. Hirsch, the absolute perfect woman to face Cargill. She is just the perfect opponent. Really emphasises that Greek god physique of Cargill. And yeah, like acting as a clear step up as Leyla like grapples around her and legitimately gets a run of offense. A step up for Cargill and the people that she is fighting. The running knee, we were shown getting the win on Dark to no avail against Jade. Going to up her offense but misses the moonsault and boom, down with the big boot. Hoisted up for, which I've forgotten what Jade calls it, but it's the Glam Slam for the win.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was a nice little showcase for Jade, who continues to feel like an absolute superstar. You can see watching her that they're still kind of having to hide the weaknesses. However, they are doing that. So it's kind of like playing to the strengths of the person that's there, rather than homogenizing everyone into, but this is how it's done type of thing. Like, no, they're playing to Jade's strengths, and Hirsch is the absolute perfect opponent to play to that as well. I thought both come out of this looking great. And obviously Jade is set for the moon, but they're being very gradual with it, which is smart. But yeah, just a nice little building block.
Yeah, like the story of the match. Yes, there's a huge size discrepancy and length discrepancy, but one person is a shoot wrestler, and the other person is more of a powerhouse phenomenon, if you will, and like. Leyla kept taking hacks at the tree with the axe, and she kept getting behind her waist locks and tried to single leg her and different things, whatever else was on top of her at the beginning, and then the power took advantage, and Jay had her moments, and then with the guile of a babyface from underneath, Leyla mounted a comeback, and she had the big woman on the ropes, but just couldn't put her away. And then ultimately, Jade took it, or moved out the way, moved out the way of the moonsault, and then finished it because she was hurt. So like, it's classic storytelling. I like to see what these two can do with each other a year from now.
Yes, 100%. These two feel like they're going to be pretty long-term deals for AEW in the women's division. Again, especially Jade, as they're putting so much kind of a gradual attention to her as well. You can sense there's big ideas for the future, but let's not rush anything. They don't need to rush anything.
Did by any chance do you watch the NWA's All Women show from a few weeks ago?
No, I did not. I've seen all the positive stuff from it, and I know, of course, that Hirsch was in the main event against Camille.
Yes, I would say watch the main event. It's something like a 3.5 star, 3 3/4 star match, and it's mostly it's a lot of this, except it's like it was probably the best performance I've ever seen from Leyla. Like I saw a number of her matches when she was in Stardom at the beginning of last year, but like she's a really good fighter underneath against bigger women, which is really hard to do because a lot of the women that are larger and like also green, like they almost seem like stiffs. But like she was able to, Camille. I don't know. As far as comparing Camille to Jade, obviously Camille has way more experience, but I thought it was kind of applicable as far as like you put Jade is more charismatic, but Camille's a little bit ahead. And like the match they had was really good, and like I think that a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever, like I think that they could have that kind of match together if if they can get the progression that you will hope for out of Jade, because like Jade has star written all over. It just comes down to can they get the matches to match with what she has as a personality.
Oh yeah, you can see it from like her debut match where that charisma is just sky high. In terms of the little things as well, it's just like the way that she went for the pin and the way that she was taunting in between moves and things. Immediately the instinct is just there. She's got it. It's just that, the rest of it, can it all click together? And they're not rushing anything, which is good. So, taking their time, slowly building her, which is the absolute perfect thing to do. After this, we've got an Andrade promo, continuing to remind us, there's now loads of potential amazing Andrade matches in the future. Cool. Yes, they still got him. He drops Chavo. That wasn't really touched upon. But which kind of makes sense. If he was trying to if he's more focused on a certain thing, why would he be fretting over Chavo? It's like, cool. It kind of makes sense, especially if a certain other guy comes in to manage him. Yeah, with a bit more prestige. So after this, we had Taz running off on Punk. Currently, I love Taz. It's just, especially as Punk just didn't do anything. Taz gets so angry at things Punk's not done. I think it's great. With his boy Hook by his side, Punk staring the kid down before Hobbs charges out and clobbers him down. Well, so they're both shouting at him, like, it's clobbering time! It's clobbering time, as they beat down CM Punk. A Dragon Sleeper from Hook to quite a big pop from the crowd. I've got to say, Hook is over. And Punk's fight back is short-lived, with a Hook clearing the broadcast desk for Punk to get a single arm slammed through it by Hobbs. Just a big old beatdown to set up the Rampage match next week, as it's Hobbs versus CM Punk. But this is a little angle that's continuing to build, assumably, to Punk versus Ricky Starks. But it's either a mixture of, they made Hobbs seem like a beast, they had Hook doing goon stuff, to quote Rich, and then he set up Punk's second match, but then also you're building to Punk versus Starks without Starks even being there, which is again good AEW shit. So
are we sure we're still going to get that match come Wednesday, or on Wednesday they'll be recorded and played on Friday? Because like the way Punk did not go through that table, he looked like he was in so much pain. Like obviously people sell the wares of battle in this performance arts, but at the same time, like it was one of those where it looks like it ain't that hard to sell when it feels like a shoot. Yeah. Like he was in some pain. Excalibur later in the show popped me when he said that he went through a lucite table. We don't need to know what the hell it's made out of. It just didn't break, and it was painful as hell. It popped because it's like, you're such a dork. I love it. So yeah, like 2 thumbs up for me. Like the second he came out, and then like he came off of and Punk came off of the headset, I just like, oh, he's about to get clobbered. Like, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the tunnel? It didn't come from the table, but it came from, like, I guess the drape net right next to the tunnel. I had to get heat on CM Punk at some point. So I'm interested to see their match on Friday, though. Definitely.
Yeah, and cool for Hobbs as well to get CM Punk's first TV match in the years, his second in the company as well. Just Punk doing exactly what he was saying, where he's excited to face the new kind of up-and-coming competitors, these exciting stars, and Starks is on his list of like one of the top people to face these young stars in AEW, and this is slowly building to that in fantastic AEW fashion, where each match he's having feels important, but Starks is the one that he knows coming around the corner. Which is and this next match here exemplifies AEW's amazing ability to give you a great match where the crowd are hot, but at the same time they're building to another one or two matches. It's like, oh, yeah, really, really good stuff. So Sean Spears with Tony Blanchard versus Darby Allen with Sting. Spears running on top for most of this match. A nasty bump for Darby as the guy decides to sell an apron leg chop like he's taking a Hanson lariat. Just spinning inside out, landing on his head. Crazy, man.
The dumbest spot. Like,
yeah.
He got his legs swept and he spun as if, like, you know, like you mentioned, Stan Hansen took his head off. I was like, on the apron too. And like the landing was not pretty. I was like, man, like, this kid here, man, like,
off of a chop as well. Oh dear. Followed though by an awesome spot where Spears just wet a towel at ringside, and then we're going, what's he doing? Is he gonna like just choke it? I didn't connect immediately with what he was doing until
I thought that he was. Right, and I thought at first, like, are they about to do a waterboarding angle? What is going on? And then it was like, and then he poured the water, and I was like, that's not enough water to do that, or at least whatever. Maybe you can fake. It's obviously the game's illusion, but I'm looking at the amount of water you poured in. I'm like, nah, they ain't gonna cut it. And then he wipes off the paint. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah.
Yeah, like feeding into Spears' entire point of Darby being nothing special. You just take the paint off him. What is he? And it's like, yes, amazing. Darby's fight back also had more crazy moments because he's Darby as well.
So you mentioned that, right? So now that, like, is there a potential that, like, Roman Reigns is watching that, given that he's about to go to Extreme Rules with Balor dressed up as the I don't know if it's in the war paint, right? Like, does he see that and was like, son of a bitch, I was planning on doing that. Now they beat me to market with you know, doing that.
I would also in WWE, because Finn Balor and the Demon are almost like Tom Hardy and Venom, just different.
Oh my god!
Or in a way, like he's a symbiote, just slightly.
Okay, so you've been watching SmackDown, correct?
But yeah, on and off, yes.
Okay, so when he brought back the paint in the last few weeks, is it just war paint like how it was everywhere else except for Vince McMahon's creative mind, or is it actually the Demon King is back?
So the way they phrased it was they won't be facing Finn Balor, he'll be facing the Demon. Was the phrase I heard.
Fuck.
The main roster is always. I was gonna say the main roster is always like Venom style, when it's just like, well, no, it's just the same guy kicking into another gear, which again they nailed in NXT. Because my other example would be in New Japan, where he put on the paint and he kind of helped make the match feel like a big deal. Like Hiroki Goto gets his one title shot, he paints himself completely in like white with the characters. And Finn Balor doing a similar thing, just painting himself, becoming like a zombie king thing for his big entrance. NXT got it 100%. It's not a different person. It's not a monster. It's the same guy kind of gearing into something. But on the main roster, they couldn't understand that, or they couldn't figure out how to market that. So Finn Balor and his Demon.
Vince just thought it was boring. He's probably like, why would a guy sit in a chair and get painted for hours just to hype himself up? Is he an idiot? It has to be supernatural. So it's like, okay, so he's supernatural, so you think he's a dummy for that. But like, he has this ability to tap into something to make him special that he just refuses to do for title matches. That doesn't make him stupid, huh? Okay, Vince, whatever.
And Darby Allen is another character, just showing that, no, I'd be so scared for him in WWE. He's like, oh, so you're like a zombie. Like, no, he's not actual.
Did you ever hear what Darby Allin said about WWE? Like, I guess right around the time he showed up in AEW.
I don't remember anything.
He says something along the lines of, if I went to WWE, they probably have me like in a corner masturbating, as it'd be some type of freak show. And I was like, that obviously he's going a step too far in saying all of that, but like I could see them saying he's some type of weird creep or something, or like, you know, I don't know, like they definitely would not like have him try to be like a Sting Jeff Hardy type. They definitely would be going for that with him because he obviously is too small for them. But you know what I mean. Like even if they believe him, they still would have pushed him. Vince would have got him in like, nah, all right, I'll say I have to push him. Whatever, come on, something weird. Like he'd been like a Loomis character or something.
Yeah, just a weird likes death person.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame, yeah. But yeah, so in Darby's fight back, the ring steps Spears had used to beat him down in the beginning came back to bite the Pinnacle Man in the butt. Darby reversing the Death Valley driver attempt and driving he and Spears clean over them with a dive. A hell of a dive from the crazy bastard. Just cleaned it out. And coffin drop for the win as well. Just, we thought the earlier spot was crazy. Like, no, he did a dive only over the bottom rope, and he cleared the stairs as well. It's like, he's a crazy kid.
I as it was happening, I was saying no, and then he did it, and then like I was horrified, thinking that like Spears was going to land on the back of his head. It looked like it didn't happen, luckily, but bad things. Like he gives you these things where you're just like it makes you want to wince. And like the crazy part about him is he builds towards these things so well in his matches. Like he's great work underneath, and like obviously he takes the beating so you get behind him, so that he eventually overcomes, because he's a really good technical wrestler, obviously. But it's like, and maybe that's the next step for him over the years, like as he matures and ages, and his body can't do what he wants it to do because he's fucked it up so much. Like he will then start just basically becoming like more like Daniel Garcia and Daniel Bryan and Zack Sabre Jr. or Gargano Cole, or not Cole, because he's such a strong technical wrestler anyway, that is like, and he's such a good storyteller, is like he doesn't necessarily need to do this stuff, but people love him because he does it. But like once he gets himself to a certain level, he will realize he does not have to do that stuff as often in his matches, and like it'll probably be better for his career and better in the long run, because he has it as a storyteller. He absolutely does have it, and the timing for it too.
Yeah, long term, these crazy spots can slowly just be eroded out. Whether he'll agree to do it, it's another thing. That may you never know. Adoptions have happened in wrestling. Just talk to Mick Foley. He's adopted many different styles to adjust. But after this match as well, FTR with the post-match beatdown. A spike pile driver to Sting in 2021. It's a crazy spot. And Tully with the final familiar message. I was like, the spot in the match that I thought was like a cool little spot in the match. It wasn't. It was a setup for the next thing to come. It was like, brilliant. As Tully also wipes the paint off of Sting, wiping the face paint off of the icon. And what a fantastic little message and setup for Arthur Ashe next week. I just wasn't expecting that to be a setup for anything. I thought it was just a cool little spot, but then he also does it to Sting. It's like, yes, this company. Yes, it's great. I love it. Arthur Ashe has been set up so incredibly well.
Yeah, and I mean, someone had to eventually get some heat on Sting, because the stuff with 2.0 where he's certain things happen to him, and he can kind of just like no sell, and obviously that was Sting's thing in his heyday, was being able to no sell some huge thing or whatever else to get the crowd like in the third and going into the third act of a match like losing their shit. But it's valuable that that like he can still do the no sell thing and then also wear ass whooping and whatever else to get heat. So like I think as far as treating legends, like obviously AEW does a really good job with it, but like I think Sting is at the top of the list for how they treat someone that's not even like someone that they put on TV to be in matches. Like he's just around to be kind of like a I don't know, just a friend, a veteran, an experienced ear for Darby, whatever else in their friendship. And I think like him being around has like helped Darby a lot in like one day he's gonna be AEW World Champion, and like we're gonna look back and be like, what a way, like it wasn't just Darby, it was also like the way that AEW and Tony Khan and everybody else handled like the Sting thing to make this like work as together. Like it's obviously like he's a new age Sting as far as being like the Crow Sting and like the face of WCW, the icon or whatever else, and like maybe he becomes like the icon of AEW years down the line, and that's like the at least unofficially or whatever, like that. Like it's really cool. Like I really enjoy watching. Sting's like my third favorite wrestler of all time. So like to see him on TNT every week, just about, and like it's fun. Like it's not like it hasn't gotten boring or tired yet. Like it's just been fun, and he's been around since December of last year.
Yeah, it's just fun. This entire run has just felt so incredibly fun, and it's just, again, you can just tell with the critiques when of course they're complaining about Goldberg happening. It's like, oh, but you're fine with Sting. It's like, Sting's hardly like he's there, yeah, but he hardly wrestles, and he doesn't really have singles matches, never mind title matches. Like, it's just night and day differences in how to use a legend and get over that next generation. Yeah, Sting's run, yeah, incredibly fun. The entire run so far since his Winter is Coming debut. And then talking of big debuts, Omega and Danielson, they played a little video package. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and we get a reverse of last week's segment where the Elite got the interview. This week, it's the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, who has adopted the name once again. It's all over the Titantron and everything. And once again, Don Callis cutting off before any questions can be answered. Running his mouth, getting the crowd to call him a piece of shit and all of that stuff. Before Bryan just directly talks to the champion. Because Callis came out with Omega. Just directly talk to him. And this is like the second time that Bryan Danielson has done this. Just essentially cutting the shit. And as some I can't remember which podcast they're listening to, they're just bringing up that it's been really nice hearing Bryan Danielson just swear a lot. just swear. Like in this promo as well. Bringing up the piece of shit thing. Bryan Danielson was one of those people who's reveling in being able to swear. You can tell he's loving it. And he wants to fight Kenny, talking directly to him. Like, he'll even be fine if the title isn't on the line for this one. He wants to prove himself. He's here to fight the best. But all he's seen is a guy hanging out with a bunch of stooges and lets a piece of shit talk for him. It's like, oh, Danny Bryan said shit. Oh. He wants the best bout machine, the god of pro wrestling. Words that convinced Kenny Omega, and he accepted the match. To Don Callis going, oh, but still, even if the title's not on the line, why would you? And yeah, he said he riled up, but he spoke to Omega, he riled him up. And the crowd as well, just hearing those words, especially as like Kenny Omega's almost entire career-long arc is all about kind of self-doubt and just being like so kind of like paranoid at his own kind of fallings and stuff. And he's just so insecure, that's what I'm looking for. Like Kenny Omega's own insecurity, be it the past with like Kota Ibushi and the whole stuff with the Bullet Club, and then coming over here with AEW as well, the falling down to the tag scene with Hangman and the way with Champion and everything. Like, so many of his actions are just built off of being an insecure character. And there's loads of notes here as well. Also, I like the idea of, I don't know if it is a pure mind game, but Kenny Omega this week also came out in a plain white t-shirt. Bryan Danielson's just... I think I made the joke. It was like, release a plain white t-shirt and call it the official Bryan Danielson shirt. Like, it's just... do they have the balls to do it? It's the next question. They're fully making themselves a t-shirt selling company. That's all they are. They're just a t-shirt selling company. Don't even put a logo on it. Just print it. No AEW tag or anything. It's like, no. Plain white t-shirt and everyone will know. But still, this did so well to build that segment. And of course, with that insecurity... with Bryan Danielson, it's going to take me a while, saying that I want the best bout machine. The crowd knows what that means. But I really love the idea of Kenny Omega. You could sense it in him. Can he actually step up to that level? And we'll find out. Just an amazing tease. The crowd are excited to see it. And there is that character kind of dynamic as well. It's not for the title, so this could very realistically be a time limit draw. It's been a while since we've had one. I really wouldn't mind this going the full length, given who it's between. Like, an absolute dream match. And it's on television. Just really capitalising on whatever people they've got watching AEW, be it temporarily or not, through Bryan Danielson, immediately booking it. Just not waiting till build anything, or like, we'll wait to a big show, not waiting to Full Gear or anything. It's like, no, we're going to strike while the iron is hot and do it within like 2 or 3 weeks of his debut. Which is that hype feels like it's just not dying down since All Out. Every single week has been like a barrel of fire. And they did really well to build to that match here.
Yeah, I didn't think about the part of Omega's insecurity long form over the arc of his career. But I did think of the part where like he obviously doesn't want to wrestle the dude, but like and I also think like for a lot of people and a lot of naysayers, like a lot of people would have like obviously they weren't going to do a title match, but even if they weren't, like, people are going into it with their guards raised because a lot of people like going into this have questions and concerns about AEW as things progress because of what happened at being former watchers of WWE or still current watchers of WWE. So like, a huge sticking point for a lot of people over the years have been like the elevation of stars in the big spots on big shows like WrestleMania, for example. And like, it's cool to have part-timers come in, but once you start making like almost every single marquee match involves some dude that's going to leave after WrestleMania Sunday, it becomes an issue. So for Bryan to come in and then 2 weeks later would have necessarily been a title shot, it would have raised a lot of people's eyebrows. So like that promo is to tell people like Kenny Omega doesn't want a title shot, Daniel Bryan doesn't necessarily want a title shot. He just wants to prove he's the best. Like the title will come into play after they have their match in months down the line, but they want to come out here and have a big match, and I think it's really cool because like if it were me and I've already sold all those tickets to Arthur Ashe, I'm using that I'm having Daniel Bryan come out after Kenny Omega's match, Arthur Ashe, to then set up a match like in a month or whatever else to sell another large gate. I wouldn't have. They didn't have to do this. So I thought it was really cool. I thought it explained to people that have their antennas up about like all the the quote unquote WWE-ism or the pitfalls of like pushing people out the way for the new acts that are coming in. It kind of assuages their concerns, and like like you mentioned, like a time limit or whatever else. Like they're going to go out there and they're probably going to have a draw, but like it's going to be really fun. And obviously, draws are fine when they build towards something, right? Like, so I really enjoyed it, and I don't know what their match is going to look like, but like I'm interested to see what it looks like and like how it builds into whatever they do when they have a bigger match after that, probably. But either way, it gets Daniel Bryan into AEW wrestling, and then like we'll see what happens after that. Like the next week after the Arthur Ashe week, like we'll probably get to see him, wrestling, and then like we'll see how he tracks up the card. But like he feels like a really big deal. This match feels like a really big deal. And it's only been on a 2 week notice almost, and like. It almost feels like the Daniel Bryan that we kind of thought we were going to get when he came back out of retirement in 2018, where it's like, I never thought this was going to happen. I thought it was going to be done forever. And like, he's back. They didn't really capitalize on it that well in WWE, but it seems like that energy is like there in AEW. And it's really cool because like, that's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
An absolute dream match. And the crowd were chanting AEW as their main event was getting set for the next week. They were just simply announcing a match, and he got an AEW chant. They are so into this. Again, this show did such a great job of just really getting just hyped for next week, and you can sense it on commentary for the main event, where Tony Schiavone almost very genuinely just like, Jesus Christ, you can just sense the excitement. It was just, it was as Moxley making his entrance, and it's just like such an incredibly fun time, and he's jesting with the crowd. And Tony Schiavone's just like having the time of his life and realising, and next week we're in Arthur Ashe. It's like the fun is not stopping kind of stuff. So yeah, applause all round, and it absolutely nailed building the hype for next time. Miro then got his promo, just questioning Fuego's desire to get the hell beaten out of him again, but what is he to say no to somebody who is willing to step up to him? Again, Miro with more amazing lines. It's Miro, you've come to expect it. He's one of those guys currently where when you see him appear for a promo, you stop whatever you're doing and you pay attention. He's got to that point. His promos are so good. And in terms of longevity of Miro, that means he doesn't need to wrestle. He can just cut this short video promo, and he can do this for weeks. You don't need to see him you don't need to see him wrestle. It's great,
right?
Really good stuff.
Like the thing that watching AEW is so fun about is like you get to see so many promos on the show, and like, you know, watching Raw when they would come in and open the first, you know, 10, 15, or even 20 minutes of a show, when just like they're basically like just almost filling time because it's a 3-hour show at this point. Or even, but they were doing that like during the Attitude Era with Austin and The Rock and Vince, where they just come out and just like, and they kind of condition themselves like, that's why you have to start a show. Like, if you can spread that out, you stop your wrestlers from feeling overexposed. You then give more time to other people to then be able to cut promos. Like, think how many people cut promos and how many people had talking segments in this show. Like on a 2-hour SmackDown, that many people do not get that get mic time. Just don't. And like promos don't have to go 5 minutes. Like short and sweet, 90 seconds or under, like gets the job done. Like they have MJF, Daniel Bryan Daniel Bryanson and Kenny Omega and Callis, to have MJF and Pillman, and then, you know, the Fuego del Sol, the Sammy Guevara, the Adam Cole, the Jurassic Express and Christian, like all these people are getting shots and getting mic time to be able to talk. And like, you know, this like the first weekend, I don't know how long, I don't think Britt got a chance to talk on TV. She wasn't even on TV this week, but it's like, or on Dynamite this week. But like, that's the reason why people like these guys so much. Like, yeah, they get to shows like obviously like this is a different crowd than the WWE crowd, but like people get a chance to show a bit of their personality and their motivations and whatever else. Like, and it's most of the roster or half the roster on a given week, as opposed to like you feel like only like, you know, maybe like maybe a little bit over like 8, let's say 8 people get to talk on a episode of Raw, when he's like, all right, well, like what do a lot of these acts have to say? Nothing. They just go out there and just mindlessly wrestle. All right, like I like mindless wrestling. I just like wrestling matches in general, but like I've always been told that people want more, and like AEW seems to figure out a way how to give people more, as opposed to just like the wrestling and then like the nonsense that happens for non-finishes.
Yeah, and yeah, again, and Miro's like the king so far. He just grabs you.
I really like Miro.
He's so good. Amazing time.
Like Miro was kind of, you know, with Rusev Day and all that kind of stuff, he was already doing this when he was in WWE. I don't know what happened to where they soured on him or whatever else, but like, you know, one promotion's lost, another promotion's gained. So,
yeah, like they did the John Cena treatment with him, where he loses the feud, even though he gets an amazing tank entrance at WrestleMania. Then he had the stuff with Roman Reigns, where it's like, why isn't Roman getting cheered off of this? That's because he's insulting the man's wife, and he's the heel here. Why would we not cheer Rusev when he's defending his wife and not really doing anything? And you have Roman Reigns come out like he's The Rock because he's having to repeat characteristics. It was in that period where they didn't know what Roman Reigns' character was. He just, for every angle, he was a different character. Like, you just give him Daniel Bryan's characteristics, you give him The Rock's characteristics, and it changed from like angle to angle.
Cena,
especially, especially in the early days as well. Like it was changing so much, and that was like one of my critiques is the Reigns doesn't have a character. He changes to whatever they kind of need for the plus idea this time. Obviously, now not a critique that fits, but back then it was a major problem.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think they kind of got, or Vince McMahon kind of got himself, because of John Cena for a decade plus 15 years more or less. Like he kind of got himself to a position where like he felt like you need somebody to kind of come out here and be an MC, master of ceremonies, that can come out, talk to the crowd, be energetic, be witty, have some fire, and get you out and, you know, go out there and cut a classic promo for that field time and made you happy to see what was going to happen on the card. Like, it was funny to see CM Punk I think it was last week, come out and more or less do a John Cena promo.
Yeah.
To start when he came out. Yeah. And like, not everybody can do that. That's really fucking hard to do. And like the once Cena happened in WWE, it's almost they felt like everybody has to kind of fill that role. There's no, fitting the show around the talent you have. It's more fitting the talent around the show you have, and it's like that doesn't work in sports. And I don't know why that would work for pro wrestling. Like Roman Reigns, looking at where he is now, they could have figured out a way to get him to this way earlier. Way earlier, but they were too busy trying to make him not fully other people, but like have elements of other people that made you like those people. And then like, nah, it's not him. He's not an underdog. Look at him. He's not an underdog like Daniel Bryan. He's not The Rock. Like The Rock is a once in, like, you're not going to find another Rock ever again. Like, and he's not John Cena. John Cena is a person that like, used to freestyle rap for a long ass time. Like that off the cuff thinking and working the crowd is something that you build over years and years of experience, and also like dealing with that in front of live crowds or whatever else. Like that's really hard to do. So Roman, I'm glad that he's doing what he's doing now, but like that just wasn't. They finally found it, and it took him having to literally leave the company for months at a time and come back with a completely new thing. And with AEW, if they had a Roman Reigns, it would not have taken them, damn near 5-6 years for them to figure it out, to rejigger it. They would have said, hey, just like with the Dark Order, all right, this incel heel thing isn't really working. Let's make you guys unlovable geeks. Let's try to think. Miro came in as this gamer person or whatever else that was doing Twitch things or whatever. It was like, nah, man, it's not really working. We'll keep you undefeated for now, but like you got to come up with something else. And then you have the Redeemer. They give people time to figure out what they want to do and how it works best for them, and to put it in their own way. And then like you feel like the passion that's coming out of them. You feel like I want to say a sense of realness, because obviously they're playing fake characters turned up to an extent, but like it just feels more fitting for these people to do these things they believe in. Like I don't. Like when they turned Naomi heel a few years ago, I was like, that's not really Naomi. Naomi isn't really, not saying that she did a bad job doing it, but it's like you could kind of tell that's not really what she wants. That's not really her, in Team Bad or whatever else. Nah, and there's a bunch of people like that. There are a bunch of people that are just like, they're sweethearts behind the stage and on camera, but they're like playing heel. And you're kind of like, okay, I'll go with it because you're doing it. I'm not really buying it though. And opposite, so. I think AEW does a really good job of like letting people kind of figure it out on their own, and like you're going to sink and swim, and if not, like we're going to have to like rejigger some things, because like that's what booking is. Like not everything you're going to come up with is a great idea. And Vince McMahon like used to come up with a lot of things that stunk. Like Rocky Maivia stunk. He came up with him and The Rock and Jim Ross came up with The Rock, and then like it took off from there. So like I just think that they're less. I don't know if it's because Vince is older that he doesn't adjust as much, but like I think AEW with that willingness just to change things, like that's been a huge benefit to their favor. That like things aren't working optimally, and they'll figure out a way to sometimes you make it better than you could have imagined.
Yeah, and even if something on the night doesn't feel like it's definitely clicking, they've built up that faith as well. Just especially over time as well, as you see things slowly get worked out and kind of just changed and tweaked a little bit, and eventually it all turns out all right. So you built up trust AEW. Yeah. So
I'm really enjoying like AEW right now. Really enjoying it.
I was so hyped coming out of this show. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this Photoshop, damn it. Yeah, I'm so excited. After this, we got Matt Hardy saying he's going to turn Orange Cassidy into an orange egghead. Cool. I mean, last week when they did the shaver thing, or unless it was the week before, I was like, that's weird, that's going to come out of nowhere. And then this week it's like, going to be hair versus hair. I was like, oh, maybe Matt Hardy's just decided he wants to go bold, so let's just do an angle. Cool, why not? So, yeah. It's not really much else to say there. Yeah. As in, okay, cool, Hardy's going bold. It's just the immediate takeaway. Unless AEW swerve it on its head and Cassidy goes bold, but Cassidy doesn't have much hair to begin with, so not that big a deal. And Cassidy just, would he care? It's like, no, you have the hair versus hair is built to have the heel just screaming like, no, what are you doing? Just flailing about as they're getting the hair cut off. Like it's the worst experience in the world. Like it's a child having a bath. just like, no, I don't want it. It's just, yeah. I can't wait for that moment. It'll be fun. And it's Orange Cassidy who kind of exudes those fun segments right now, as he's one of those like big acts kind of on the back burner who very recently had a title match against like Kenny Omega and Pac. Like he's had a big match not that long ago.
Double or Nothing.
Yeah, Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing.
Yeah, and now he's on the back burner. It's like, yeah, he'll be back again. It's that thing of like Hammer and Page as well, where it's the amount of people still they see online where it's this thing of they buried Hangman and he's nothing now. Like he's not even using him. It's like, well, I mean, context of actual life seeping in for that second bit.
Right.
But for the first bit, it's like, if the only way you could possibly say that is if you're not really watching the show, because you see what they're doing of course, and people they go off the burner a little bit and then they'll put them in later, and they're doing it. And Orange Cassidy's another example of that. He's still relevant. He's still doing stuff. He's just having like minor little back kind of off the fire fuse, and we put back on it after the things rotate round again. Which I think long term for AEW, rotating the talent, which is just one of my biggest peeves for like WWE, especially Raw, where we're seeing the same matches again and again and again, or at least the same people interacting. Even if it's not like an identical match, they'll often put, like, to technically be a new match, they'll put two different sets of people who are interacting together, but they're still then interacting with the same people. So, like,
you're still thinking about that. You're still thinking about that women's tag match, aren't you?
Bloody, it took over half an hour. It's like, and they mucked up the finish of the first one, which was hilarious. It's so confusing. As in, Tamina just got her arm up in time, and they played her music. Okay. The announcer said her name.
Right? Didn't she kick it? Didn't she basically like kick it like 3?
So she did. Roman Reigns, amazing kick out. As in, as the hand's coming down for the 3, her shoulder goes up. And I think someone's done like a really close examination where you can see when the referee's hand hits the mat, the shoulder is up. But of course, like, it's the referee definitely going to see that type of thing in the moment. She did an amazing near kick out. It's basically what happened, but it was too good. And the referee counted the 3 anyway. And because it's WWE, they're like, with the ref counts the 3, we're not going to do any of this nonsense where you can't really tell or anything. You just ring the bell. Just that's it. Muck-ups happen. That's what Vince wants. Okay, cool, fine. However, this is why Red Shoes does his little hover. This exact moment. This is why. Yeah, sometimes it looks a bit but you don't ruin the finish of the match. Like, the bigger picture here, where you get a complete and nothing finish. But it was very funny, because immediately, because you can hide whether the person's meant to win or lose or not. However, Tamina's music was obviously on the road to play. It was on the playlist. Her music starts playing, and the announcer in the arena, who was blatantly just so enthralled and paying attention, says Tamina's name as the victor. It's just like, oh, yeah, this clearly had your attention so strongly that you knew who won the match. Like, no, Tamina's music played, he said Tamina. And, yeah, it was quite funny, to say it the least. It's just, and I'm watching it going, I don't know how to review this. It was fine. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Again, AEW feels white hot, and Raw this week was mostly fine with a white hot ending. So I'm not going to ignore that. The ending was really strong and got a lot of positive energy for WWE, which they desperately need. And especially with next week, they need something running into that show. They're going to face major competition again, and AEW are going to have all the momentum with the Arthur Ashe show, which they've built up incredibly well. And personally, if WWE start trying to do things to get your attention, to mix it up a bit, like with the Big E thing this week, where it's like a major deal. I really liked how they promoted it beforehand. Like, if they start doing that, and I think the phrase that I used this week to kind of review the show, because I don't know these scores to do, like, yeah, this is a phrase I'll use. I went with evidence of effort. If there's evidence of effort most weeks on Raw, then that's a good thing. I win on that. I win. As a viewer, I compared to what we've been getting. So yeah, I did feel a bit like a teacher writing a school report. I was like, there's been evidence of effort. Like, keep going, Timmy. You'll eventually get this. It's just, yeah, it was. But you watch AEW, and it's just full momentum and hype, just barreling along, and then we get to the main event with the commentators. Again, Tony Schiavone, just as Mox's theme was playing, just like, Oh, this has been so much fun. Just hear it in his voice. As they were to take on 2.0, who have been an NXT release just amazing since then. An amazing pickup by AEW. Seemingly Tony Khan's reaction was... Because when they're questioning about Adam Cole being like the major NXT signing, do you reckon there might be others in the future? And Tony Khan just immediately put in going, wait, you don't count 2.0 as a massive NXT signing? I think they're amazing. He's like immediately in his voice, he just tells like he couldn't believe they let them go because they're such good comedy acts. They're the perfect people to talk that big game and just get the shit beaten out of them like really quickly because they're not good, which I really like. They're delusional jobbers, and there aren't enough of those in wrestling. I really like the delusional jobber character because they can run their mouth, they can build up a match, get excited to see the face, and then the face just destroys them. It's like, yeah, cool. Mox in another main event as well, as again he's another character off the burner of massive angles. But then this whole Suzuki incident thing happened. It's like a dream scenario where you got something with buzz, it can just run with it. Yeah. A fast-paced brawl of madness as they just wreck 2.0, who were nothing. Just destroyed them. Commentary, Shivani calling, wiped him out with a violent crown as they then go for the pin. Yeah, fast-paced brawly stuff is how I'd put it. Then Suzuki's music hit. And I was like, oh, I thought you were saving this for Arthur Ashe. Oh, we're getting it now. Cool. AEW fully running with The Incident. Like, it's such a great way just to go with the fans. Like Archer putting Kingston out as soon as Kazanina Rare had been sung, ending the show with one more big old brawl. Eddie and Lance in the crowd and Mox and Suzuki brawling all over ringside. They teased the Gotch Style Power Driver through the announce table. Knowing AEW, probably getting it next Wednesday. Knowing that.
Not only they teased it was going to happen on top of the ring bell as well. And I was like, no, don't do this. And then they got down. I was like, thank you. I don't want to see someone, get wrecked by over that, especially for like, the brawl to heat up your match. Like I would prefer you not do it, but like if you're going to do it, at least save it for the match.
Yeah. This was just a nice little hot brawl to end the show in chaos and just leave you just so hyped. Just all of that energy because it's building and you know the show's going to end any second. And it's one of those rare occasions where even you're missing something, you're fine with it. And that also makes the ticket to see AW live something special because they get to see something you don't as well. Like how did it all die down and all that sort of stuff. WWE used to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, you go to Live Crown and you wonder how Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns are going to figure out like who lets go of the title first going into the go home show for WrestleMania 31. Remember that?
Yeah, that was awful. So bad.
I was like, wait, they're having a tug of war over the belt. Okay, like I get it, it's metaphorical, I get it, but like it's also very childish. Like just let go of the belt and then like one of y'all let go of the belt and then like you'll see like what happens like on Sunday. Well, whatever. There's also trying to see people fighting in the ring or fighting outside the ringside too. But whatever. Pro wrestling is just goofy. But
that was really weird for me because I wasn't on social media till 2016. That's the first time I went on it, and I didn't like. I read the odd column on Lords of Pain, but I wasn't really engaged with internet wrestling really at all. Like I've been watching WWE every single week since I guess late 2005, but I didn't.
You poor man.
That's when I started. Again, the story I've told quite a few times is the first episode of WWE I ever like properly watched, like in my own home, was the episode where they announced Eddie Guerrero had died, and I was excited to see him. I played with him on the video games. I'd seen him at my friends' houses. Like the first WWE wrestling at all thing I ever watched was WrestleMania 17. So. As quite a few people have gone, oh, you poor soul, it's nothing but down from there. It's just the wrestling fandom.
Yeah.
But it still gripped me. Like I still really enjoy the games. I still to this day, I still go back to GM mode. And hearing it might be coming back this year gets me excited because that's my favourite mode. It's a nice little chill. I like chill modes. It's fine. I don't need pure action or an excitement all the time. Sometimes I'm fine to just flick through menus for a bit. It's all right. It's okay. But yeah, I And I never got I can't remember what my whole point for that diversion was, but it's that I watched at an interesting time and they've slowly grew that momentum. Never got that huge competition. I got TNA, kind of. They ran against WWE and started being weird with the whole Hogan. I just remember that my peak TNA fandom, I felt like that era for me kind of died the week Hogan arrived, and my last thing was Joe Daniels AJ 2, and the crowd were chanting "Screw Hulk Hogan" because, well, we don't need him. This is amazing stuff, and yeah, for me the product just died as soon as he arrived and changes started happening. You could tell, it's like, oh, this sucks. They still had good things in there. Again, like the rise of Bobby Roode and James Storm, like elevating those guys. But it came at a cost first, which is like a year of BS before you even got to it, which was a bit of a shame, I guess.
So, I was going to ask you a question, but I'll leave towards more digression, so I'll just refrain. I'll pull the punch. Yeah.
But towards the end, we can do this. We can stay on topic. Yeah, so a little rundown for next week with big Grand Slam shows, including a 2-hour Rampage with Punk's first TV match for AEW, are taking place on next week's Rampage, including other matches built up like the Super Click 6-man, Sting and Darby versus FTR, Jericho and Hager versus Page and Sky. You feel the hype for the Arthur Ashe, including other matches with Britt Baker defending against Ruby Soho. It's going to happen every time I have to mention a name. Taking place next week on the show. The fact that bit is now like an hour and 50 in. It's like, is this your reward for dedication? Getting this far into the show. So that'll be taking place next week as well as Omega Danielson, which was the major match announced for next time. Oh, and of course we talked about the Suzuki incident and all that match going for that as well. A white hot card. This show just gave you that impression that this is the biggest deal, and it came out feeling incredibly hyped, and it, of course, the show went off the air in a brawl of excitement. And yeah, I mean, it's a question I'm assuming I know the answer of, but did this show get you excited for Arthur Ashe next week?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Like, let's see. The only other show I'd be more excited for right now on my horizon would be like the final two. The Grand Prix on the 25th, but that's it. You know, like, and obviously, like that's the finish of a tournament. You know, so that's really it. So yeah, they've on a 2-week build, like, you know, and this card isn't built like, you know, as if it's some artificial thing that they can't recreate with the talent they have. Like, obviously, you have the inertia, or you have the big deal of Bryanson's first match in AEW. But, like, outside of that, like, I mean, this is CM Punk's second match. This is Ruby Soho's, like, third match in AEW. Yeah, like, this, you know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun this week. And then, like, I also wonder, like, I think it sets a great precedent for, gets him off to a hot start, like, coming out of All Out. Like, you know, a lot of times, you know, like, AEW and NXT, coming out of their quarterly pay-per-view or, you know, pay-per-view, you know, every 2 months or whatever else, like, it feels like they're almost like, you almost can feel them resetting the table at times. So, like, I feel like them just going to this 2 weeks later, like, it almost like it, like, this is like the best they've ever came out of a pay-per-view, in my opinion. So, it's gonna be fun. It's going to be fun. It also shortens up, like, the distance of feeling like that, you know, 3 weeks out from a pay-per-view that they have. So it almost feels like a kind of a dead period at times. It depends on how inspired that quarter of TV is. But they're off to a hot start. So I just imagine what they have with all the toys they have, what they can do on TV to build towards full gear.
The excitement is real. They've done a fantastic job. And I'll be covering it this time next... Well, not exactly this time next week, because I'll be joined by Sir Sam, who lives in Australia. So the live time is a little bit different next week.
Yeah.
So
I think hell, like, okay, so you're 5 hours in front of me. I think, like, for me, I think he's like 16 hours in front of me.
Well, I know when Ricky and Clive were trying to figure out their invitational, where they were trying to figure out, they had American, a Scotsman, and an Aussie. They're trying to figure out the times to do that. It was just crazy, just to get that done. But yeah, yeah, so next week I think I'll be going live either 1 or 2 p.m. my time, which in America comes at like 7 or 8 in the morning. It's just, so getting ready for work time rather than going to sleep times, rather than after dinner. Just the reverse of what it is normally for this one. Actually, that might work out all right if I'm going live at the exact 12-hour difference of my normal time. Then that's all right. But yeah, that should be when I'm going live. Just I think that was partly Sam giving me enough time to actually watch the show and make the stuff for it, because it takes time to make these photoshots. I've got to actually do them. Anyway, I will be back then with Sir Sam, but I'll also be back on Tuesday, where I'll be joined by Vance of the Sounders Edge to talk about Monday Night Raw. I've got a pro WWE person to be excited about WWE because I bloody need it. I'm like, I want somebody who's positive about WWE because I'm not totally there. And hopefully, this point where things are just a little bit more, there's positive aura around after last week's show. Fingers crossed. So yeah, so I've got to get through Raw, but after that, I will be ready for Arthur Ashe, and I am excited. I can't wait. I cannot wait for Arthur Ashe. So anyway, as normal, thank you for engaging in any form and any manner, be it whatever you do. Never take it for granted. You can follow me on Twitter at the Damn Implicat. That's damn as in damn. Again, that's Chono now. And the implications with 2 S's over on Twitch. And as well, you can follow James Boyd at JamesBoyd87. James, do you want to plug your stuff to sign away?
Yeah, Twitter, JamesBoyd87, as you just mentioned. Also, follow our my podcast, One Nation Radio, at One Nation Radio on Twitter. Weekly, we do a show where we more or less talk about like a bunch of different things throughout the week in professional wrestling, whether it's AEW or WWE or NXT or New Japan Pro Wrestling or Stardom or whatever else comes up. MLW sometimes, AAA comes sometimes. Hell, I think we did the Tokyo Joshi Pro Cyber Agent show, the one that had Tokyo Joshi Pro in Noah and DDT, whatever is on a horizon that week, whatever else in different forms, like it'll come up. PWI we talked about this week, so just topical things of the week and big things in professional wrestling around the world. Check it out.
And all the links are in the description for One Nation Radio as well if you want to go check them out. So, thank you for all the engagement stuff as well. I realise I do that a bit after. So my sign-off is now unnatural because I have to do it twice. Anyway, with that, I say thank you for watching, getting to this point as well. I bid you adieu. Get excited for Arthur Ashe. I cannot wait. With that, I bid you adieu. Adios. And James bids you...
later.